Yeah, hello everyone and welcome to this session. So here we're going to be solving through JAMB Mathematics Past Question for 2022. Now we have 40 questions to solve through. And to make it easier, I've broken that into 4 parts. So once you're done with the first part, I want you to watch the second part, the third part, and the fourth part, all of which have 10 questions each. And now I shall be walking through these questions. You might find that some questions might be a bit challenging. So what I want you to do is to subscribe to the channel because I have uploaded tutorial videos on the entire syllabus for JAMB Mathematics. So once you scroll through our videos, you can find any topic that you're struggling with and watch the videos so you gain a deeper understanding. So enough of me talking, and now let's get right into solving the questions for JAMB Mathematics 2022. So in the first question, we were told to solve for k in the equation 1 over 8 raised to the power k plus 2 is equals to 1. Now this is a classic indices question, and what we want to do is to rewrite this in form of indices. Now to get started, if you recall, you know that 1 over 8 can be written also as 1 over 2 raised to the power of 3, right? Now 1 over 2 to the power of 3 is simply as writing 2 raised to the power minus 3. Now we can substitute this into the original equation. So we can write the original equation as 2 to the power of minus 3 into bracket k plus 2 is equals to 1. Now also, if you recall from our law of indices, we know that anything to raised to the power of 0 is 1. So we can also write 1 as 2 to the power of 0 because 2 to the power of 0 is 1. So this becomes 2 to the power of, and when we expand over here, we have minus 3 times k, which is minus 3k, and we have minus 3 times 2, which will give me minus 6, is equals to 2 to the power of 0. Now since the bases are equal, we can equate the exponents. So what does this become? This becomes minus 3k minus 6 is equals to 0. Now when we bring this to the other side, we have minus 3k is equals to 6, and if we divide both sides by minus 3, we have what? K is equals to what? Minus 2, because 6 divided by minus 3 is minus 2. So the correct answer to this question is C. Now if you want more understanding on indices, you can watch our tutorial videos on indices after you subscribe to this channel. Now to the second question, we are told to evaluate 101 base 2 the cube of 101 to the base of 2. Now there are several ways you can do this. You can try to multiply 101 in base 2 by itself 3 times, but that will be a bit complicated. So an easier approach to take is to try to convert this number to base 10. So after converting it to base 10, then we can find the cube of that and convert it back to base 2. So this is exactly what I mean. So we're going to convert 1 over 101 base 2 to base 10. And the way we do that is we write out this individual digits, which is, we have 3 digits, 1, 0 and 1. So we draw out 3 brackets like this, 1, 2 and 3, and we're going to sum up the numbers, put the sum into them. Now we write each of those digits in. So we have 1 here, then we have 0 here, and we have 1 in the last bit. Then we'll multiply each of them by 2, multiply by 2, because our number is in base 2, multiply by 2 and multiply by 2. Now we're going to raise the base 2 to exponents of 0, 1 and 2, increasing from the right. So from the right we have 2 raised to the power of 0, here we have 2 to the power of 1, and here we have 2 to the power of 2. Now we know that 2 to the power of 2 is what? 4. And what is 1 times 4? So this becomes 4 plus. Now we know that 2 to the power of 1 is 2, but what is 0 times 2? That would be 0. Then plus, we have 2 to the power of 0. Recall, any number raised to the power of 0 is 1. So 1 times 1 will give me 1. So what is 4 plus 0 plus 1? That is 5. So 101 in base 2 is the same thing as 5 in base 10. So now we can easily find the cubic root of 5. So 5 cube will be equals to what? 5 times 5 times 5. And this is pretty easy. You know that 5 times 5 times 5 is what? 125. So now we know that 101 in base 2 cube is 125 in base 10. But what we have to do now is to convert 125 back to base 2. And when we do that is to do a long division. So when we do our long division, we just divide it by increasing with our base of 2. So we know that 2 divided by 125 is going to be what? It's going to be 62 remainder 1. Then we divide by 2 again, and we have 21 remainder 0. And we divide by 2 again, and we have 15 remainder 1. And we divide by 2 again, we have 7 remainder 1. We divide by 2 again, we have 3 remainder 1. We divide by 2 again, we have 1 remainder 1. And we divide by 2 again, and we have 0 remainder 1. Now we'll write out these numbers starting from the base upwards. So what does that give us? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 ones, 0 and 1. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we have a 0 and we have a 1 in base 2. So the answer to this question is 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1 in base 2. And what option coincides with that? That will be option C. If you want more clarification on how to address bases, you can watch our tutorial videos on base, which has been uploaded to this channel. So now this is a question relating to Venn diagrams. We also have videos relating to Venn diagrams, so you can check that out if you want a broader understanding of that. But now the questions ask us to find the shaded portion in the Venn diagram above. So now we see this Venn diagram is contained of 3 circles. We have E, F, and G. Now there is this shaded region over here, and the question is asking us that which of those options represents the shaded portion. Now we're going to walk through each of these options to find out what the correct option is. Now we know that it cannot be F, for example, because you know that F will encapsulate everything under F, and since this does not include these 2 parts, then we know that option D is not the option. Now we have option C, which is E union F union G. Now E union F union G is going to encapsulate the entire sphere. So for example, just to make it clearer, I'm going to start with F. So if it was going to be F, for example, we have the 3 circles, 1, 2, 3. So F is going to be this entire shaded region over here. But we can see that that is not the case what we're given. E union F union G is pretty much going to be the entire circles shaded, which is not what we have. Now let's move on to option A, which is A minus E intercept F minus G intercept F. So now we know that this is F, which we have over here already, which is going to be everything shaded. Now we know that E intercept F is going to be the region shared by these 2 parts, which is what we have over here. This is E intercept F. And we know that G intercept F is going to be the shared part between F and G, which is this region over here. So if we have the entire region of F and we subtract out this part and we subtract out this part over here, we can see that we are left with what is being shaded over here. So the correct answer to this question is option A. Now, if this is not clear, you can watch our videos on Venn diagram to get a deeper understanding on how to approach this. And if you have any question, please feel free to drop your comment. So the next question says, if a fair coin is tossed twice, what is the probability of at least one head? Now, there are several approaches to solve this question, but the way that I find that is most intuitive is to think about this in practical terms. Now, you know that a coin is made up of 2 sides. You can either have the side facing you, which is going to be the head, and the other side, which is going to be the tail. Now, when you throw the coin the first time, you have 2 options. Let's say for your first try, you have 2 options. It can either be the head or it can either show up as a tail. And when you throw it up the second time, it can either also be the head and it can also be the tail, right? Yeah. So what we're going to do now is try to come up with all the possible combinations that can come up when we throw a fair coin twice. So let's say in the first time when we throw it up, the first combination is the first time you get an head, and the second time also we get a head. Now, another possibility or another scenario is the first time we get a head and the second time we get a tail. Now, the third scenario is that the first time we get a tail and the second time we get a head. And the final scenario is that we get a tail the first time and a tail the second time. So these are the four possible combinations. Now, the questions ask us to find the probability of obtaining at least one head. So now, in which of these scenarios here do we have at least one head? We have at least one head in this scenario. We have at least one head in this scenario. And we have at least one head because you have two heads in this scenario. Now, we know that the probability of at least one head will be equal to the number of possible outcomes. Number of possible outcomes over the total number of outcomes. Now, in this case, we know that the number of possible outcomes is going to be 3 because in 3 of our scenarios, we'll get at least one head. And we know that the total number of scenarios is 4 because we have 4 possible outcomes, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the probability of having at least one head is 3 over 4. And that is going to be 0.75, which is option B. Now, another approach to solve this question is to make use of the idea of the complement. So we know that the probability of obtaining at least one head, probability of at least one head is the same thing as 1 minus the probability of no head. And that will be 1 minus what is the probability of having no head. The only scenario here where we have no head is if you have tail, and that is going to be 1 over the total number of outcomes, which is 4, and 1 minus 1 over 4 is also 3 over 4, which is 0.75. So as you can see, we arrived at the same answer. So whatever approach you take works, but the basic thing is to understand the concept. So the correct option again is B. Now, if you want a better understanding of probability, you can also watch up videos on probability. Now let's move on to the next question. It says that given that the mean of 2, 5, x plus 1, x plus 2, 7, and 9 is 6, find the median. So now we know that to find the mean of numbers, we have to sum up the numbers and divide it by the total amount of that number. So in this case, now we know that to find the mean of these numbers, we are going to sum them up. So we have 2 plus 5 plus x plus 1 plus x plus 2 plus 7 plus 9. Now we're going to divide it by the total numbers. And how many numbers do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over 6 must be equal to the mean. But now we've been given the result. So the mean here we've been told is what? 6. So what do we do now? We cross multiply. So we have what? 2 plus 5 plus x plus 1 plus x plus 2 plus 7 plus 9 is equals to 6 times 6 after we cross multiply. So what is 6 times 6? 36. So now we collect like times. So we have x plus x, which is going to give me 2x plus, then we have 2 plus 5, which is 7, plus 1, 8, plus 2, 10, plus 7, 17, and plus 9, 26. 26 is equals to 36. Now when we bring that to the other side, we have 2x is equals to what? 36 minus 26. And that will be what? 2x is equals to 10. And if we divide both sides by 2, we have x is equals to 5. Now, some people are going to get here and say, oh yeah, x is 5. Oh, the correct answer is option B. But the unfortunate thing is that will be incorrect, because that is not what the question asks us to find. Now, if you read the question carefully, we have been asked to find the median. So it's really important that you read the question properly, so you don't rush into just saying, oh, I've gotten 5, and just select that out. So you really understand. So now you know that the median is not the mean, and I've not been asked to find x, I've been told to find the median. So we need to substitute this value of x back into these numbers to find what the median are. So the first number is going to be 2, then we have 5, then we have x plus 5, and we find x to be 1. So 5 plus 1 is going to give me 6. Now the next number is x plus 2, and we find x to be 5. So 5 plus 2 is going to be 7. Then we know 7 and 9. So now to find the median of these numbers, you know that the median is the middle number after you've arranged the number either in ascending or in descending number. Now we see that this number is already arranged in ascending order, so we don't need to rearrange. So we count. So we count here 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now you can see that there is no one particular middle number. Instead, these two are the two middle numbers. So what do? We find the mean of these two numbers. So that is going to be 6 plus 7 divided by 2, which is 13 over 2. And that is going to be what? 6.5. So the correct answer to this question is what? Option C, 6.5. So again, remember that you have to read the question well and know exactly what you are looking for, so that after doing all the hard work, you don't end up choosing the wrong answer. And if you want to have more understanding on mean, median, mode, and other measures of dispersion, you can watch our videos on that, which is already been uploaded in the channel. So now let's move on to the next question. It says that if sine theta is equals to minus 3 over 5 and theta lies in the third quadrant, find cos theta. Now this is a pretty straightforward trigonometric question, but it needs you to have a good understanding of your 4 quadrants. So now if I draw the four quadrants from our trigonometry, if you remember, in the first quadrant we know that sine is what? Sine is positive and cos is also positive. In the second quadrant we know that sine is positive and cos is negative. Now in the third quadrant we know that sine is negative and cos is also what? Negative. And in the last quadrant we know that sine is negative and cos is positive. So now let's apply that to this. We have been told that sine theta is equals to minus 3 over 5. So let me just draw a triangle, a right angle triangle, to make sense of that, and let's call this theta. Now you know that sine theta, sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse. So the opposite in this case is going to be this side over here, which is 3, and the hypotenuse is going to be this side over here, which is 5. So now we can find the adjacent over here with the use of Pythagoras theorem. So let's call this adjacent over here A. Now we know that from Pythagoras theorem that a squared plus 3 squared must be equals to 5 squared, right? So now this means that a squared must be equals to 5 squared minus 3 squared. So a squared must be equals to 5 squared is 25 minus 3 squared is 9. So we have a squared must be equals to 16. And when you find the square root of both sides, you know that what? A is equals to 4. So that means here is equals to 4. So now we can find cos theta. Now cos theta, if you remember, cos is equals to what? Or theta is adjacent over the hypotenuse. Now what is the adjacent over here? The adjacent over here is 4, and the hypotenuse is what? 5. Hypotenuse is the longest side. Now you can easily fall into the of saying, oh, 4 over 5, that will be option A, but that will not be correct again. And why is that? Because we are told that theta lies in the third quadrant. So now with the third conjugant, according to what I've explained here, sign is negative and cos is also negative. So that is why the correct answer here is going to be minus 4 over 5. So the correct answer here is option D. So you can watch our videos on trigonometry to have a deeper understanding of how to address questions like this. So now let's move on to this question where we've been told to simplify 1 over 3 minus root x in the form of p plus q root 2. Now this is a classic question on the rationalization of surds, and to rationalize this surd, what we're going to do is to multiply the numerator and numerator by the denominator, but we're going to change the sign. So this is just going to be 1 over 3 minus root 2 times 3 plus root 2 over 3 plus root 2. And why does this make sense? It makes sense because when we multiply by 3 plus root 2 over 3 plus root 2, because they are the same numbers, this cancels out as 1, and we're left with this original equation. But the reason why we do this is because when we multiply by this, we can look at the denominator and you see that this gives us a classic example of difference of two squares, which allows us to easily simplify the denominator. So now this becomes 3 plus root 2 over, we have 3 minus root 2 and 3 times 3 plus root 2. Now if you remember from our difference of two square, if you have a minus b multiplied by a plus b, that is simply the same thing as saying what? A squared minus b squared. So we can apply that same concept over here. So this is precisely the same thing as saying 3 plus root 2 over, then this becomes our first number, in this case it becomes 3 squared minus our second number b is going to be root 2 squared, and that is simply 3 plus root 2 over, now 3 squared is 9 and root 2 squared, this square is going to cancel this square root, is 2. So this is going to be what? 3 plus root 2 over 7. And if we split out this, the same thing as writing 3 over 7 rather. Three over 7 plus root 2 over 7, which is going to be option D. Okay, so let's move on to the next question, question 8. And here we're told to find the length of a chord 3 cm from the center of a circle of radius 5 cm. So one thing that I see that helps when solving question is to try to draw it, because it makes it easy to like conceptualize what you're trying to do. So we have a circle. Forgive my drawing if it's not perfect. Yeah, it's not perfect, but forgive it. Now this is the center of the circle. We have told that the radius of the circle is 5. So the radius is the line from the center to any point. We told this 5, and we told that the length of the chord is 3. So remember, a chord is any line that just cuts across that touches two parts of the circle. So any line that you draw across is what we call the chord. So I'm just going to draw a chord over here, and well, this is not to scale, so forgive me. So we have here, we have like 5, and we told that the length, find the length of the chord 3 cm from the center. So this is the chord. So the distance from the circle of the circle to the chord itself is 3 cm. Now we're told to find the length of the chord, which is what we have over here. So this is quite straightforward. So what we're going to do now is try to find the length of one of this side. Now remember, this is just like a right angle triangle, and we can easily find what the length of this point to this point is, and we know that it's going to be the same length from this point to this point. So define the length from this point to this point. I'm going to bring out this triangle over here. So we have this triangle over here, and we know that the hypotenuse is 5 and this distance over here is 3. Now again, from my Pythagoras theorem, we know that a squared plus b squared is equal to the sum of the hypotenuse squared. So again, we have a squared plus 3 squared must be equals to 5 squared. Now we know that a squared equals to 5 squared minus 3 squared. So a squared equals to 25 minus 9, and a squared equals to 16. So a will be equals to the square root of 16, and that is equals to 4. So we know that the distance from here to here is 4, which is what we have over here. Using the same logic, we know that if we calculate for this other side, we know that the distance from here to here will also be what? 4, making use of Pythagoras theorem. So the entire length of the chord is going to be 4 plus 4, which is going to give us 8. And the correct answer to this is A. So let's move on to the next question. Now we're told that Mr. Adu spends his annual salary on food, rent, car maintenance, gifts, savings, and some miscellaneous, as indicated in the table below. If the information on the table is represented on a pie chart, what angle represents his spending on food? Now this is pretty easy. We have been given the distribution of his spendings in percentages, and you know that when you add up all these percentages, it should sum up to 100%. But question now is to asking that how do we convert this 28% to angle on a pie chart? Now we know that for a pie chart we have a circle, and the total number of degree in a circle is what? Is 360 degree. So this is just as simple as converting its distribution on, this is just as simple as saying 28% of 360, because we have 360 degrees in a circle. Now we know that 28% is something as saying 28 over 100 times 360. Now when you, this cancels out this, and when you punch the remainder in your calendar, or when you say 28 multiplied by 36 is going to be 1008, and when you divide that by 10, that is just going to be what? 100.8 degrees. So the correct answer to this question is option B. Now let's move on to the next and final question in this first part. So I've been told that we have a rectangular pyramid with a base area of 24 cm squared and a height of 7.4 centimeter. Find the base of the pyramid. Now this is pretty much straightforward. So just to make it a little bit easier to understand, I'm going to try to see if I can just sketch that out. So we have a pyramid. Forgive my drawing if it is not perfect, but we have pyramid is something like this. Yeah, and we've been told that the base area, which is the area of this side over here, the base area is what? 24 centimeter squared, and we're told that the height, which is distance from here to the center of the pyramid, is what? Is 7.5 centimeter. Now calculate the volume. Now from shapes and volumes, we know that the volume of a pyramid is given as 1/3 times the base area times the height So this is pretty straightforward. We have 1/3. We have been told that the base area is 24 and the height is 7.5. Now 3 goes in 24 8 times, and 8 times 7.5 is going to give me what? 60 centimeter squared, or 60 centimeter cube rather, since we're calculating the volume. So the correct option to this is option D. And now that brings us to the end of part 1. So if you have any further questions, please don't forget to drop your comments, and once I come online I can respond to your questions. And if you want further understanding on any topic, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and go through our videos to check out the different topics, to see which topic they are struggling to, and try to really understand the theory and the concept behind it. So now I'm going to see you in the next part. So take care for now.